My whole life, I always knew I was special. Even with no remainders, I could always move a decimal. Money on my mind while the girls that made un beso. Hustlers in my blood and it's running through my vessels. Just trying to clear the threshold, just trying to make a way. In my race against time, I could see an early grave. School to prison pipeline, 12 years a slave. Suspension and detention is conditioned for a cage.
The next topic we're going to discuss on Boxing Bros are comments made by Teofimo Lopez. And he says that DAZN set him up. Let's take a listen at what he had to say. Here it goes. Right, and this video appears courtesy of Fight Hype.
That's my man.
Yo, Tio, we just get a Haney Cambosa. Who do you think wins that fight, bro?
Oh, fuck. No, it's a main fight for Haney. Yeah.
In what way? What do you mean?
Huh?
What do you mean?
Oh, the whole shit was a scheme, bro. I was on the DAZN platform. They gave it to Cambosis because they knew what I was going to do with it. They knew what I was going to do. I was going to drop him. Then it's a longer process for Devin to become, quote-unquote, undisputed. It's all a game, man. They pay that shit.
Isn't it gonna be tough to win in Australia though? Like if it's a setup, isn't it when they set it up in America, not Australia? Where why
everything's already made. It's everything. I had to see that for myself. So they already knew who won before they even fucking announced it. See the tapes.
Hey Tio, what advice would you give Devin on what he's got to do in the ring with Cambosis?
Fuck Buffalo.
Hey Tio.
Can I go first?
As you can see, he has surgery on his right hand. Wait, before you go, there's one thing I want to point out to the people. Yes, Ned, you could go first. All right, hold on. Let me just show you something. Watch as how Tio starts saying his crazy mess. Mark Kegel like backs away from him. Like he backs away from him like dramatically.
He knew what time it was.
Yeah, he's like, it starts off like, "Oh, this is my guy" or whatever.
Tio,
hold on, watch.
We just get a Haney Cambosa. Who do you think wins that fight, bro?
Oh fuck. No, it's a made fight for Haney. Yeah.
In what way? What do you mean?
Huh?
What do you mean?
Oh, the whole shit was a scheme, bro. They had I was on the DAZN platform. They gave it to Cambosis because they knew what I was gonna do with it. They knew what I was gonna do.
Watch Kegel. Watch Kegel.
It's a longer process for Devin to
become. Let me get out of here.
Perfect.
He stuck out of it.
He was like, yeah, remember how Homer fades into the grass?
Yeah. That's what he did.
Yeah.
That's what he did.
He fades to the grass. Yeah. Crazy.
Hey, all right, I'm gonna turn it over to you, TBE.
Man, I used to be a fan of Teofimo. And I must say this now, like, Tio, you gotta come to terms that you lost, yo. You gotta come to reality. You lost. Fair and square. Cambosis beat the brakes off you, and you can't accept it. And now that you're coming up with all these type of excuses to say the fix you were set up, I must say this. Eddie Hearns knew what he was doing when he gave you that contract. He was rubbing his hands. He wanted you to come. When that purse bid was open, he wanted you to sign. He knew he got the big fish. He was rubbing his hands and he got the big fish. And when he was talking to you in that interview, like, we'll give you what you want to fight Haney, and you and your dad's eyes lit up. You guys like, oh yeah, like you guys were starving. You knew Eddie knew he knew what he had in his hands, and you guys were starving for this fight. And when he got y'all, he set y'all up because he was like, all your mind was focused on was the money. Y'all wasn't focused on Cambosis. And then, y'all was set up because y'all wasn't focused on the fighter. And that's why Cambosis whipped you. And you ain't going to ever see these belts again. And you ain't going to ever, I don't know if you ever going to be champion again until you come to terms that you lost because you wasn't focused on boxers. You was focused on the dark side. So shout out to Devin Haney and Cambosis for securing the bag and doing knowing what it is. Focus on boxing, not on the next man. And Teofimo, I'm just sending praise your way. That's all.
$2 bill.
Yeah. Teofimo Lopez, right? You can tell when somebody believes something, right? Somebody really wholeheartedly believes something, and he believed it right when they announced it. Right when they announced the winner of the fight, he thought it was a setup. This was just something that he conjured up later on and with his feelings because he lost the fight. I agree with Ned on one thing. He totally overlooked Kambosos. But did he get mollywopped and whooped? No. It was a tough fight. He ended up coming back and ended up dropping Kambosos. You know, it was a really tough fight. Kambosos just secured the earlier rounds. You know, and look, the young man, a lot of people was like the champion should have won that fight. You know, but I didn't see it that way. He lost, but you can tell immediately, right when they announced it, he looked at Eddie Hearn and he said, "You." So this was
You mother effer. That's what he said.
He said it right then and there. You did it right there. So he felt something. He felt something right then and there. And it's hard to, you know, make a person, you know, when they believe something, you know, to make them feel something different. But I totally think if he would have been focused on the opponent in front of him, that this would have been a good night for Teofimo Lopez. I just feel like he has the tools and the skills to beat a Kambosos. I just think that even when he walked in the ring, how he was fighting, that's not normally how he fights. He was leaving himself while he got caught. He wasn't hurt. When he went down, he wasn't hurt. And he was dominating that round that he went down in. You know what I'm saying? So he didn't get mollywopped. You know, he was in a tough fight. And when he looked at Eddie Hearn, he felt and he believed that he should have been given that decision. And he looked at Eddie. Even Eddie was like, "Come on, I ain't do nothing." Eddie went right on the defense. I ain't do nothing. But he feels in his heart that, you know, this is boxing. You know, this is boxing. Things happen. Sometimes the judges don't get it right, or the judges not going to see things in your favor. But you have to be on point every day. You got to be on point all the time. That's why I was talking to Kane a couple of days ago, and I was like, that's why you got to look at Floyd and be like, and appreciate what he does. Because any given night, you underestimate an opponent, the judges could be off. It can go any way, any other night. So, yeah, I'm not. This is just how he feels. And I can't get mad at somebody at what they feel, but I can just tell them that it's not going to do well with you harboring these types of feelings. Because just like you see Mark dip away, you have other people dipping away, like the TV was saying, away from you as a fan or, you know, as business partners. You know what I'm saying? If you can't just say, hey, look, I lost, but I'll be back to fight another day.
All right, Conspiracy G.
Yeah, I'm going to play devil's advocate. Kind of in support of Teofimo on this one. Now, I do agree with Trill that, you know, Teofimo lost. However, it wasn't a wash.
It wasn't a wash.
It wasn't. And there are people that go, hey, to beat the champ, you got to really beat the champ. So there are people that had Teofimo up, right? Totally. And people that had Teofimo as a draw, right? Now, I believe that Kambosos actually won. But nonetheless, there are people that think that way. Teofimo and his pops believe that at the end of that fight, it was clear as day. They felt like, yo, it was a setup. Y'all try to play us. But in that video, what Teo said was they knew he was going to relinquish the belts. And so my conspiracy mind is like, if they did know that, and now this is Eddie Hearn. And I forgot, this was like a while ago, and how they talked about like the corruption of boxing, where promoters will invite judges for dinner, right? Where they're essentially what they're doing is they're getting the judges to favor their fighter, right? They take them on expensive dining experiences, this, that, and the third. And so when it comes to the fight, they're thinking, hey, man, I had a great time with this promoter last night. You know what? I like this experience. I want to get invited again. I might favor these rounds towards the promoter, right? Not saying it happened, but there's a possibility that could have happened in this fight. And if Eddie knew Teofimo is definitely, he can't make the weight anymore, and he doesn't want to keep these belts. If they do relinquish everything, then Devin's gonna have to start all over now. And then for the zone, Devin was their star that they signed. They were like, they're trying to make this kid the next Floyd Mayweather of 135, right? But if all the belts are all over the place, that's gonna be a struggle. So I'm just saying, from a conspiracy perspective, I can see what Teofimo's saying. This was all written in the stars. Eddie's not allowing Teofimo to win so he can relinquish these belts. They're going to do everything in their power to keep that from happening. So give it to Kambosos, and then the next step is to get the Kambosos-Devin Haney fight. And that's why Teofimo's like, man, Haney's going to win this fight. It's already set. The Zone had this plan a long time ago, yada, yada, yada. Does he sound bitter? Yes. But I could kind of entertain his theory. You know what I mean? Because it's like, I can see what he's saying. I may not agree with everything, but it kind of fits. That's what I'm saying. So I'm like, I'm going to give this guy a rope a little bit for his conspiracy theory.
Well, it all went out of the window when he had a close fight. Now, for me personally, I scored the fight for Teofimo Lopez. I think he pulled it out. However, it could easily go on the other way. And I do believe that a lot of what worked against Teofimo Lopez was the attitude that we're seeing and the way he presents himself. So when there were close rounds, people were giving Kambosos the benefit of the doubt because they're like, yo, he's in there with Teo. He's hanging in there with Teo. Like, and so when it was close, some people like, yo, I'm giving it to Kambosos. You feel me? And like he kind of, because there's certain fighters like, when a fighter has a certain persona, any close round you give to the opposition. Like I feel like Floyd won so many rounds that went to his opponent. Just because like you're so used to seeing Floyd dominate rounds that if a guy landed like 5 punches on Floyd in a round, it was like, ooh, he did good.
We didn't need to see Madonna too.
Yeah, exactly. He beat Madonna. But the problem was Madonna had a little bit of success, more success than we were accustomed to seeing. So people make it seem like, oh, we got to see it again.
Run it back.
Run it back. The point is, when you're accustomed to dominating, when you dominate, when you're seen as being upper echelon and levels above a certain fighter, when they hang in with you, even if it's close rounds, some people are going to be, more willing to give it to that fighter because they expected you to dominate the fighter. And that's part of what happened with Josh Taylor. Although I still believe that Josh Taylor lost his fight, I think he won the last 4 rounds. And there were some close rounds in there that I feel like people were reluctant to give to him because they're like, yo, you should be cooking this dude. You should be dominating this dude. It happens in boxing. Nonetheless, I don't believe Teofimo Lopez was robbed. His performance and how close the fight was takes away that. That fight to me could have gone either way, and it went Kambosos' way. I think it was a split decision. And even on our panel, we're split on it. So how can you say it was some type of fix or it was some type of setup? Let's say hypothetically he won the fight unanimously in all of our eyes and in the world's eyes. And then the judges still gave it to Kambosos. Well, now you have an argument. But you don't have that argument. We all saw the fight. I scored it for you, but I can respect what G saw. I can respect what Trill saw because I saw that too, but I just gave you more rounds than they did. You feel me? But I don't think anyone who had a draw or anyone who thought Teal won feels like it was a robbery. And if you're Tio, instead of blaming the zone, instead of blaming everything, where's the accountability? Why'd you come out like a madman in the first round? Why'd you come out like a madman for the first 3 rounds? Why did it take you to start settling down to start doing well? And then once you started to settle down, you actually dropped him and started to win rounds. I'll tell you why. You're not that fighter. You're not that attack, look for a knockout fighter. You're a read and react type of fighter. You're an actual cerebral thinker type of fighter. You're not just some wild man who goes in there looking for the KO. I don't know who convinced you of that. You fought out of your element. You try to do something that's not you. When you knocked out Richard Coleman,
He's dead.
It was Eddie Hearn that convinced him that.
Now that was his dad. His dad was like, "He's still here with you."
Yeah.
Now, walk with me. What if Eddie
Was.
was gashing him before the fight? Like, yo, if you can pull a knockout, you the man. The zone will give you double the bag he is giving you.
Let's look at his best knockout, Richard Coleman.
Mm-hmm.
You weren't acting a fool. You weren't looking for it. It presented itself and you took it. That's when you're at your best. That's how you knock people out. You don't go in there acting like you're Mike Tyson. That's not you. You're not a seek and destroy Mike Tyson type of guy. That's not you. Edgar Berlanga need to go back to doing that. But anyway, that's a different discussion. But that's not you. You actually have talent. You actually have skill. You actually have footwork. You actually have the ability to perfect the craft. You don't need to fight that way. When you fight that way, you only diminish yourself to make your opponent, to give your opponent a chance. Kambosos had a chance because you didn't utilize any of your skill and ability. As soon as Teofimo Lopez started to utilize his skill and ability, he started to win the fight. He even dropped Kambosos. It's showing you accountability, dog. Don't blame the zone. Don't blame anyone. Blame yourself. Because if you would have won that fight with at least the slightest bit of respect for Kambosos and actually fought him with respect from round 1, you would have won that fight.
Definitely.
You wouldn't have got dropped in round 1 because you wouldn't have been so reckless, or 1 or 2, I think it was 1. You wouldn't have, because you would be so reckless and got caught with a counter. It's on you, bro. You got to look at what you did wrong, what you could have done differently, and then own up to it. But blaming everybody else ain't going to get you nowhere. You lost. You lost because of the fight that you decided to do, and that's on you.
Let us know how.
Hold on. Just to provide more defense from a man Teofimo.
Oh God.
Talk to me. All right. What makes a conspiracy compelling is the fact that although there are like clear evidence, like it could definitely go this side, there's also little small elements that you go, you know what I mean? And for one, with boxing, it actually only takes one judge to be corrupt. The other 2 judges could be on the up and up. All you need is to have one person in your bag, you know what I mean, in your pocket to sway something a particular way. I'm not saying Eddie did that, but if he believes that in his heart of hearts, Eddie doesn't have to convince all 3. He just needs to convince one guy to be in the favor of Kambosos as opposed to Teofimo Lopez. So I just wanted to add that one.
Yo, Jeff Hyundai, stop it.
Let us know how you feel in the comment section. Please like and subscribe. Check us out on Instagram and Twitter. And please check out our podcast on all major streaming services. You know you rock with us, the Boxing Bros.